Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel and welcome to my last ever university update video. This feels slightly surreal sitting down to film this video because every year for the last 4 years I've sat down and every semester I've filmed one of these videos to kind of document what I've been up to in the semester beforehand, and this one is my last. I have come to the end of my university journey and I'm not quite processing that yet. But anyway, here we are, university update, year 4, semester 2. Now, as I do at the start of each of these videos, I want to give just a little summary if you are new here. Basically, for the last 4 years of my life, I have been studying for a degree in primary education at the University of Aberdeen. University of Aberdeen is a Scottish university and our course is 4 years long. Each year is split into 2 semesters, and at the end of each I create a video just like this to run you through what it has entailed. If you haven't seen my previous university update videos and primary education is something that you're looking to go into, or if you're just a little bit nosy and want to see what I've been up to, I will definitely leave those linked down below in the description box so you can go and have a little click around. But without further ado, let's get into it. I can't believe this is the last one. Also, as with all of the videos previously, I do have some notes with me down below so that I'm just not missing anything out, so if I keep looking down, that is the reason why. So, semester 2. It was pretty similar to semester 1 in the sense that we had one single university course. And that course was also entitled Learning and Teaching in Schools, although this was part 2 rather than part 1. So I'm going to start with just a little overview of what this semester looked like. So the semester for us started on the 6th of January, and it was at that point that I was back up in Aberdeen and I went straight out onto a 3-week block of placement. Now this is the placement that I kind of spoke a little bit more about in my year 4 semester 1 video because it was more kind of linked to that semester than this one. It just so happened that we were finishing it off in semester 2. So I started my final semester of university, not actually at university, and out on a placement. I finished those 3 weeks and then returned to university teaching for 3 weeks. That was it. I will go into a little bit more detail about the course and what we actually got up to a little bit later. But after those 3 weeks, I then went straight out onto a new placement. Now this was a 6-week block, it was at a brand new school, not the one that we'd just been at, and this was going to be our final placement school. Similar to my earlier 4th year placement, this was going to be 9 weeks split over 2 different blocks. So this particular placement block was going to be 6 weeks long, but it was actually cut short at week 5 due to the coronavirus. And because of that, because of this pandemic that we've all been living through recently, this semester is nowhere near what I thought my final semester of university was going to be like. Now, if COVID-19 had ceased to exist and everything still went as planned, I would have had 4 additional placement weeks to what I experienced. I would have had 1 assessment week at the university and I would have had 2 more teaching weeks at uni. But obviously, because COVID came and struck us down in the middle of March, that never happened. So this video is going to be a little bit different and there are going to be a little bit more ins and outs than what there should be. So let's get stuck in. In terms of the course that we were being taught in the very short time that we did have at uni, it was very similar to last semester. It has the same name except it's got a 2 on the end rather than a 1, and if that doesn't give it away, I don't know what will. Similar to semester 1, the teaching of that course would take up anywhere from 2 to 6 hours a day, Monday to Thursday. It followed a very similar timetable to last semester and we were all definitely just like in the rhythm of things by that time, which is quite useful seeing as we only had 3 weeks to kind of get stuck in. So our Monday was our kind of professional studies day. This day was purely allocated to our professional studies. We would have a tutorial and either 1 or 2 lectures to accompany it. Now this semester it focused on academic skills and the process of writing up an inquiry because that is what our assessment was going to be this semester. So it was kind of just looking at how you would build an inquiry, the different skills that you would need to implement one, and it was just kind of preparing us for when it got to the point of doing our assessment. Alongside that, however, we also had the teaching practice side of professional skills, and in this section we were looking at creating a climate for learning, we were looking at outdoor education, LGBT education and partnership learning. I'd say these were kind of the main 4 things that we focused on throughout our professional studies time. And on the other days, the Tuesdays, Wednesdays and Thursdays, similar to last semester, they were split up according to curriculum areas. We would have a day that was entirely dedicated to maths and the teaching of maths, and we would have a day that was entirely dedicated towards English and literacy. Now, last semester you might remember that this focus was a little bit more on the upper school because that is the placement that we'd be going on, whereas this semester our placement would be focused on early level. So this was very much about emerging literacy and kind of getting the beginning basics of English and maths. And alongside those two core subjects, we also looked at some other curriculum areas such as science, art, dance, and we actually had a full day dedicated to Scots language, which was a right laugh. I actually really enjoyed that day. It was something very different to anything that we'd done before, and it definitely got us talking. We were really there unpicking what the Scots language was and how it differed across the country, and how a lot of people, like in my case, were told that speaking in Scots or using kind of Scots slang was a bad thing at school, whereas now teachers are very much being encouraged to promote Scots language and learning about our heritage in the classroom. So that was what took up our kind of 3 weeks of university teaching time. 3 weeks is no time at all, and those 3 weeks actually flew in. And from then we went straight on to our new placement. There was no holiday, there was no break, there was no assessment week. It literally just went placement, uni, placement. So let's talk about that. This was an entirely new school, it was an entirely new class, and this placement was an early years placement. So I was placed in a primary 1 classroom in a brand new school, and I really got into it. I would say that this placement was definitely one of my favourites by far, and it totally changed my opinion on early years teaching. If you watch back some of my previous videos, my previous university update videos, you will see that I was always quite apprehensive about the early years. It was never somewhere that I felt that comfortable. I always thought I much preferred older years, but this placement totally changed my perspective, and I really grew to love that class. My teacher was incredible, she was such a good support, and obviously as you go through each placement you're expected to take on a lot more responsibility. So in the short time that I was there I was doing so much with those children, and I was just so gutted when it got cancelled. But as for the placement itself, it was very much sticking to the kind of usual, what's the word? Just like the usual format of your placements. We had a number of tasks that we had to do while we were there. We had to keep our placement folder up to date. But I suppose the most important thing that we were expected to do while we were there was to be gathering evidence and starting that kind of inquiry process for our assessment. I will talk a little bit more about the assessment in just a second. But there was a lot going on, and on top of that we were also due to have our final tutor visits on this placement. I've spoken a little bit more about the tutor visit process in some of my previous videos, but on this placement we were due to have our tutor visit and assessment, and we were due to be assessed through our teacher report. Now, that's all fine and well until coronavirus comes up. So it was during week 5 of my placement. It was actually the Monday evening that I found out that my placement had been suspended, and my tutor visit was due to take place on that Thursday. So as you can imagine, major panic set in for me, because I was like, okay, if I'm not going to be able to do my final tutor visit, does that mean that I can pass? Like, can I go on to my probation year? But it worked out that because I had been successful in all of my previous tutor visits and teacher assessments, that was okay. And because obviously I didn't have my tutor visit, there was a lot more weight placed on my teacher report, and that was all successful, satisfactory, so cannot complain. So that was my turbulent placement of this semester, but not only did COVID-19 cause a problem with that, it also then interfered with my assessment. Now, as I've briefly mentioned throughout this video, what we were meant to be doing for our assignment this year is to plan, design, implement a small-scale inquiry surrounding around formative assessment and how it can be used to support inclusion in the classroom. I will place the essay question on screen because it is big, it is wordy, and if you want to look into it you can, but I'm not going to unpick it much. The gist of what it is saying is while we were on placement we were supposed to run a sort of mini investigation into an area of formative assessment that interested us. We would then take all of the evidence that we had gathered from that placement and write it up into a report, into our final assignment. But due to COVID-19 suspending our placements, a lot of people on my course, myself included, did not get the opportunity to fully implement our inquiry. Which again, really starts to cause some stress. But luckily the tutors all got together and they offered us 2 alternative approaches to completing our assignment, because they were aware that just depending on what school you're in, you're not going to be able to do everything at the same time. So I ended up choosing one of the alternative options to complete my assignment. If you'd like to see a little bit more about that, I did a whole video running you through the process of writing my final university assignment, so I will leave that down below in the description box if you want to go and check it out. In that video I kind of go into a little bit more detail of the assignment question, how it changed with coronavirus, and then just the kind of process of writing an essay. It was honestly probably one of the strangest few weeks of my life. I certainly did not expect my final semester to end in that way, and especially being at home writing an essay turned out to be really tricky. But again, the uni kind of preempted that happening, and we all actually got an extension, so our essay wasn't due until the 1st of April, which was lovely. I think I submitted mine like a week early just because I'd finished it and I didn't want to stress about it anymore. So I submitted it. I very quickly hopped on the lockdown boredom bandwagon, and last week we got our results back from that assignment, and unbelievably, for that last assignment I got an A5. Now I am so incredibly impressed with that, considering that when my placement was suspended I hadn't even started my investigation. For me to be able to kind of turn that around a bit and come out with an A5 is incredible. And strangely enough, that is kind of where my 4 years of university comes to an end. Following the submission date for that last assignment, we then had 2 weeks of online university, kind of as a replacement of the 2 weeks that we would have up in Aberdeen. And due to all that's happening right now, they kind of switched it around a bit, so there was more of a focus on mental and emotional health and supporting children when they do re-enter the classroom. I actually ended up filming a day in my life of online university, so if you'd like to see a little bit of what that looked like, there will also be a video in the description on that. And after those 2 weeks came the very strange end to university. This is definitely not how I imagined my university experience coming to an end. It actually just blows my mind. I feel like I'm on holiday right now and that I'm going to be going back to Aberdeen after the summer, but that's just not the case. It's very strange to me. Like, I remember sitting down and filming my year 1 semester 2 video, blown away that I'd got to the end of first year. I remember sitting down and filming my year 3 semester 1 video thinking that, oh my goodness, this is crazy. I'm now over halfway through my university experience, and every time that I film one of these videos it feels more and more surreal. And I think you can tell that by my reactions at the start of these videos. I just don't know where the last 4 years of my life have gone, and I am so glad that I've been filming it in this way, because not only do I know that there are a lot of you out there that do enjoy watching these videos for a little bit of a look into what might be happening for you next, but for me it's really nice just to look back at and remember. Like, it got to the point, see, even making these notes for this video, I had to go back and look through my diary because the start of this semester seems like a lifetime ago. Like, pre-corona times, just, that seems about 5 years ago. And even then, just sitting flicking through my diary and looking at like the lectures that I had and like fitting it all in together, it's just so weird to me that that's not going to be happening again. Like, But yeah, to save this spiralling into a little existential crisis, I'm going to stop filming here. If you guys did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up. As always, if you have any questions, leave them down below in the comments because I will get back to you as soon as I can and answer as best I can. If you're not already subscribed to my channel, please do subscribe. These next few months are perhaps going to be the biggest change that this channel has ever seen. I don't really know what direction it's going to go in, but I'm kind of excited. But I'm going to head off now. Thank you guys very much for watching, and if you do subscribe, I will see you again soon in another video. Goodbye.